This is TOEFL IBT speaking test, and this test evaluates your ability to communicate in English in an academic setting. It consists of 4 tasks. Task 1, express an opinion on a familiar topic.
Listening campus conversation. Student A, I think this digital library system is going to be amazing. It's so frustrating when you need a book for a paper, but someone else has already checked it out. With digital access, I won't have to wait anymore. Student B, I see your point, but I don't think it's entirely positive. I actually prefer reading physical books, and staring at a screen for hours makes it hard for me to concentrate. Plus, what if the system crashes or there's a technical glitch? Then no one can access anything. Student A, that's a fair concern, but I think the benefits outweigh the risks. The university says they're improving their online search system, so finding resources will be easier than ever. And honestly, I'd rather have unlimited digital access than deal with limited copies of books in the library. Student B, I don't know. I feel like some subjects, especially literature and history, are better studied using physical books. There's something about flipping through pages that makes it easier to retain information. Also, are they really saving money if they still have to maintain a small collection of physical books? Student A, maybe, but they're focusing on expanding digital resources, which means we'll probably get more updated materials. Plus, this could make research more convenient for everyone, especially students who live off campus. They won't have to come all the way to the library just to get a book. Student B, I guess that's true. Still, I just hope they make sure the system works smoothly and doesn't cause more problems than it solves. Listening Professor's Lecture. Today, we're going to explore the overjustification effect and how it influences human behavior. Let's start with an example involving children and creativity. A study was conducted where a group of children who loved drawing were divided into two groups. One group was told they would receive a reward for their drawings, while the other continued drawing without any incentive. The results showed that the rewarded group eventually lost interest in drawing once the rewards stopped, while the other group continued enjoying the activity. This effect can also be seen in workplace environments. Imagine an employee who genuinely enjoys writing reports because they find it intellectually stimulating. However, if the company introduces financial incentives for each report completed, the employee might start focusing solely on earning bonuses rather than engaging in the work itself. Once the bonuses stop, their enthusiasm for writing reports may decline. Another great example of this effect happens in the world of sports. Many amateur athletes play simply for the love of the game. But if they start getting paid, their mindset might change, and they could begin playing for financial reasons rather than enjoyment. If their contract ends or their salary decreases, they may lose interest in the sport altogether. This phenomenon suggests that while rewards can be useful for motivation, they must be used carefully. If people begin associating an activity with a reward rather than personal enjoyment, their intrinsic motivation can diminish over time. Task 4. Integrated Speaking Task Academic Lecture. Listening Professor's Lecture. Today, we're going to discuss a fascinating psychological phenomenon known as the endowment effect, which explains why people tend to overvalue the things they own. This effect plays a major role in decision-making, pricing strategies, and even consumer behavior. Let's start with an experiment that illustrates this concept. In one study, researchers gave participants a coffee mug and later asked them how much they would be willing to sell it for. Interestingly, people placed a much higher value on the mug once they owned it compared to what they were willing to pay for an identical mug before they received one. This is because ownership creates a sense of attachment, making the item feel more valuable. This effect also influences major financial decisions, such as real estate. Homeowners tend to set higher asking prices for their homes than what buyers are willing to pay. They overvalue their property due to personal memories and emotional connections, even if the market price suggests otherwise. The endowment effect can also impact businesses and marketing. For example, companies use free trials or giveaways to encourage customers to feel a sense of ownership over a product. Once a customer starts using a product for free, they may become more attached to it and be more likely to purchase it at a higher price than they originally would have considered. Understanding the endowment effect can help individuals and businesses make smarter financial decisions by recognizing when emotions influence perceived value. Whether selling a used car, negotiating a deal, or making a major purchase, being aware of this bias can prevent overpricing and help people make more rational choices.
I believe schools should replace traditional exams with project-based assessments because they promote deeper learning, real-world skills, and inclusivity while reducing stress. First, projects encourage critical thinking and practical application rather than short-term memorization. In a science class, for example, students conducting an experiment learn more effectively than those simply recalling facts for a test. This approach leads to better understanding and retention of concepts. Second, project-based learning helps students develop essential life skills such as teamwork, problem-solving, and communication. In a history class, for instance, creating a documentary on historical events enhances research and collaboration skills, valuable in future careers. Moreover, projects accommodate different learning styles. Some students struggle with timed written exams but thrive in creative or hands-on tasks. By allowing students to demonstrate knowledge in diverse ways, schools create a fairer and more engaging education system. Lastly, project-based assessments reduce stress and anxiety associated with high-stakes exams. Students can focus on learning and creativity rather than worrying about test performance. Overall, shifting to project-based learning better prepares students for real-world challenges. The students discuss their opinions on the new digital library system. One student is enthusiastic about the digital system, highlighting that it will allow students to access books and resources from anywhere, at any time, which will be especially helpful during peak study periods. They also mention that the system will likely be more efficient and save time since students won't have to physically go to the library to search for materials. Furthermore, they appreciate the idea of having a centralized location for all the library's resources, including e-books, journals, and articles, making it easier to find what they need. On the other hand, the other student expresses concerns about the digital system, particularly for students who are not very comfortable with technology. They worry that some students may struggle with navigating the system or troubleshooting technical issues. The student also points out that relying solely on the digital system could create accessibility problems, especially for those with unreliable internet connections or limited access to technology. I agree with the first student's opinion. While it's true that technical challenges could arise, the benefits of the digital library system, such as the increased convenience, faster access to materials, and ability to access resources from anywhere, are significant. To address the concerns about accessibility, universities could offer training sessions and provide support for students who are not familiar with the system. Overall, the digital system will enhance the library experience and make it more efficient, benefiting most students in the long run. The overjustification effect occurs when external rewards, like money or praise, reduce a person's intrinsic motivation to engage in an activity. The professor explained this concept by using examples where the introduction of rewards shifts the focus away from the inherent enjoyment or interest in the activity itself. For example, the professor discussed how children who naturally enjoy playing a game may lose their intrinsic interest if they are suddenly offered a tangible reward, such as money or a prize, for playing. When the reward becomes the main motivator, the children are less likely to play the game for fun and may only engage in it for the sake of the reward, diminishing the enjoyment of the activity. Additionally, the professor mentioned how this effect can be seen in academic settings. Students who are initially motivated by curiosity or a genuine interest in learning may begin to focus more on grades or other rewards once external incentives, like scholarships or awards, are introduced. Over time, the focus shifts from learning for the sake of knowledge to learning for the external reward, which can ultimately reduce their long-term interest in the subject. In summary, the overjustification effect demonstrates how external rewards, when overused or emphasized, can actually diminish intrinsic motivation. People may begin to view the activity as something they are doing just for the reward rather than because they enjoy or value it, leading to a decrease in their overall engagement and enjoyment. This effect highlights the importance of balancing intrinsic and extrinsic motivation to maintain interest and satisfaction in an activity. The endowment effect is a psychological phenomenon where individuals place a higher value on things simply because they own them. The professor explained that once we acquire something, we develop an emotional attachment to it, which causes us to overestimate its value compared to others who don't own it. One example the professor gave was about mugs. If a person receives a mug as a gift, they are likely to perceive it as more valuable than someone else who doesn't own it, even though the actual value of the mug remains the same. This attachment creates a bias, where people feel reluctant to part with their possessions and often ask for a higher price to sell them than they would be willing to pay if they didn't already own the item. The professor also discussed a study in which participants were given concert tickets. Those who owned the tickets valued them more highly and were less willing to sell them, even at a higher price, compared to participants who did not own tickets. This demonstrates how ownership leads to a sense of increased value, even when there is no logical justification for it. Furthermore, the professor pointed out that the endowment effect can have significant implications in various areas of life, such as consumer behavior and negotiations. For example, people may hold on to things they no longer need or use, just because they have grown attached to them. In sales or negotiations, this effect can lead to overpricing, as individuals may not want to let go of something at a fair market value. Understanding the endowment effect is important because it reveals how emotions and attachment influence our decision-making and the way we assess the value of items.